back in the office at 25% staffed on a rotating basis. We'd love to know who is in our audience today, so please introduce yourself in the chat and let us know your name, where you're from, and your affiliation, parent, alum, student. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat and we'll be monitoring the chat for your questions. So next, we're going to cover, here's our agenda. Thank you. We're going to cover the graduation outcomes for the class of 2019. We're continuing to collect the data from the May graduation class up to 6 months after graduation. So we will publish 2020 results next year. We will go over our services to our students, and which are centered around 3 pillars of educating, connecting, and empowering our students. We will share with you the 5 must-dos, as we call them, that we advise all Rice students to do with the CCD. And of course, take any of your questions along the way. Here's our team. First of all, it's important for you to know that we are a centralized office. We work with all student levels, starting freshman year. Yes, freshman parents, we do want to connect with your students their freshman year. And so we work with all undergrad levels and all of the masters and PhDs and alumni. Everyone except for the MBAs who have their own career office. All career job internship postings are centralized in this office. We want to make it easy for students and employers to have one office of contact, and students and employers appreciate the centralized approach. We have an alumni relations team, as I mentioned, that is run by Ann here. And they work with our employers and manage all the interview schedules, information sessions, career expos, and all the marketing. And we have also a career counseling and advising team. I think it's important. I always love to start off a presentation with what our mission is. And it's our core belief that all Rice students are capable of achieving their professional goals, whether it's getting a summer internship, getting a job after graduation, or getting into grad school. We center everything we do around these three key pillars. 1, we want to educate students and help them figure out their career interests, major, available resources, and help them craft their career plan. We want to help connect them with the vast opportunities available through the global Rice network. And just as important, we want to empower them with the confidence and tools needed to successfully translate their great Rice degree into meaningful and hopefully lifelong career fulfillment. Like you, we are data-driven, and we have the data that shows that the earlier a student engages with our office, the more likely they are to know what they'll be doing upon graduation. Now more than ever, early engagement is key in this changing landscape. We want to give students all the resources they need to help figure out what they want to major in, as well as how to get an internship and eventually a job, or how to apply and get into grad school.
Before we talk specifically about how we support students, we thought that you'd like to see what the class of 2019 is doing. As Nicole mentioned, we do survey our graduates and we do a follow-up 6 months after graduation. So we're still collecting information on the class of 2020. I will say, however, that based on preliminary data, the class of 2020 is doing better than we had expected. We were really concerned about what the impact the pandemic was going to have on the students' full-time job opportunities. But after hearing from about 85% of the students, only 12 had an offer rescinded because of the pandemic. So back to the class of 2019, what's consistent over time is that approximately 60% of Rice students enter the workforce and are looking for a job at graduation. And there's lots of reasons why students are still looking at graduation. About 40% typically move on to graduate school. And I want to be clear that students choose graduate school for very specific career reasons. It's not because they're not able to find employment. So of the 40% who go on to grad school, you can see the disciplines here that they pursue. While the largest percentage does go on to medical school, many students pursue advanced degrees in engineering, law, business, and other areas. An interesting thing I'm going to point out about business is that a few years ago, the Jones School relaunched their Masters of Accounting program. So a lot of Rice undergraduates are pursuing a 4+1 Masters in Accounting program. That specific program. So we know, we wanted to show on this slide that our graduates really do take opportunities and pursue graduate school across the country and around the globe. And our next slide is a heat map that shows in our current job and internship posting database, these are the locations across the globe where we currently have opportunities for our student. The darker green and red indicate more opportunities. We'll talk more about that platform shortly. Oops, backwards. Okay, so as Nicole mentioned, the Rice brand is really strong for our students. Return on investment is really important for our families. And so we wanted to show that Rice students do really well when they graduate. Their starting salaries are well above national averages across disciplines. We're also showing the top 10 industries here for the class of 2019, but there were 49 different industries where the class of 19 graduates pursued their employment. We have the list of top employers here, but again, for employers seeking Rice students, getting 5 graduates would be a very big number in any year. And so that was really, it's an advantage for us in this time of economic turmoil that even if 1 or 2 of our top employers drop off, our students, it's not going to have as big an impact for us as it might on some other campuses.
Thank you, Anne. Oops, let me see, am I muted? No, not muted. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm sharing these career competencies from NACE, which is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. They have identified 8 career competencies, as we will call them, that employers are looking for in college graduates. I don't think that any of these are a surprise to you. Students are learning and honing these skills in their academic work, their research, campus jobs, internships, etc. Students have to be able to articulate these skills with concrete examples, which we can help them by having strong resumes, practice with mock interviews, reaching out to alumni, knowing what their story is and how to articulate it. That's what we are really good at in the CCD. So let's look at how these actually specifically translates to Rice. Every year we ask our employers to rate on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the strongest, how important these skills are to them. You can see that the top 5 are pretty much in alignment with NACE. Problem solving, critical thinking at the top, followed by professionalism, work ethic, teamwork, communication, and interpersonal skills. Those are all at the top. Look where GPA falls, 9th. And I love pointing this out to students. Our employers really don't place a lot of value on a double or triple major either, or really even the major. We have English majors who go into music, English majors that go into consulting or finance, music majors that go into consulting as well, engineers who go into investment banking, sociology majors who go into technology, for example. And as Anne mentioned, our employers are hiring the Rice brand. Our employers know that the Rice student is highly trainable. So really, we try to tell our students, rest assured, you've already been vetted in the process. Employers already know that what it took for you to get to Rice. So moving on, how do we educate and empower our students? Pretty much, we will work with a student at whatever level they are at and wherever they need help, anywhere from choosing a major, taking career assessments, helping with resumes and cover letters, interviewing skills, and everything else in between. Believe me, we have had every kind of conversation with your students. Next, students can meet with us one-on-one, do group sessions, come to a workshop and meet our employers. All of this, of course, is now being done virtually, but none of our services has been discontinued. Here's our fall calendar of events. We also do a lot of classroom presentations. We're actually finding that students are showing up just as much, if not more frequently. The ease of Zoom makes it more efficient for students to tune in, although I still very much prefer an in-person experience. We really expect that spring semester is going to look a lot like fall semester, as in everything still is going to be remote for us.
One thing I'll add, Nicole, is that this semester, for the first time, we started recording our workshops and have made those available for students on our YouTube channel. So if they have a class conflict or for another reason aren't able to join us live, they're still able to access that really great career content.
Great. Thanks, Anne.
Sure. I'm going to talk a little bit now about how we connect students with employers. The biggest and most visible event and way that we connect students and employers is through our Career and Internship Expo. It's an event for all our majors, and we really do have employers across a wide gamut of industries offering many, many different kinds of opportunities. Typically in the fall, we'd have about 140 employers. This fall, we moved the expo virtually, and we still had almost 100 employers participate. You know, we were also really happy that we had 1,600 students there, which is right in line with what we would expect at an in-person expo. We also really encourage students to attend, freshman students to attend the expo also, because they can start exploring different companies and what different career paths could be for them. Some employers are also looking for freshmen for internships. We also host a spring expo that we'll be having in February, and we collaborate with other Houston area universities' career centers for the Texas Job Fair in April. We also anticipate a startup career fair this spring. So in addition to the expo, we have typically about 50 to 100 information sessions in the fall and spring, and these have transitioned to virtual this fall also. One new thing that we're seeing is that more employers are offering multi-campus information sessions. So that's really opened up for students opportunities to connect with employers that might not be able to travel to Houston or would come to Rice. So employers are also doing on-campus information sessions, which again are virtual, but they're filling up their information, their interview slots with Rice students. We also really encourage students to connect with the Global Rice Network through LinkedIn and Sally Portal, which is like LinkedIn, but specifically for the Rice community. With more and more opportunities being found through networking, we think it's really important for students to be building those skills. So for the parents here today, I'm sure you have questions about what the hiring landscape is right now, and we're monitoring it very closely. There are companies that have had really full fall recruiting schedules with multiple information sessions, participating in the expo, having interviews for Rice students. We know that some employers are waiting until the spring to make decisions about internships and full-time employment, and it's really changing daily. Some companies that have rescinded internships from last summer were back recruiting this fall as well. So we talk to employers all the time. We like to show this slide because it really gives a great snapshot of the very diverse kinds of employers that come to campus and like to hire Rice students. And it's so important for students to connect with us because the industries all recruit in such different ways at such different times of year. So one of our most extreme examples is investment banking. So they recruit their summer interns 15 months ahead. So they'll be on campus virtually in March to hire their summer 2022 interns.
Great, thank you, Anne. During O Week, we presented also to the freshmen, and we gave them kind of 5 must-dos that they should do with our office. You can see that again, to kind of reiterate though, we are the one-stop shop. So we are very conveniently situated so that students can connect with us to make appointments, connect with us to talk to employers, connect with us to attend our workshops and all the other employer events. Another, we tell students, do connect with us. We can talk to you about what your major should be. How do you explore what your major should be? What are your career interests? What are your skills? How do you find an internship? What does your resume look like? And let me just underscore the fact that it's still the number one thing. You still have to have a perfect resume to get into a job, and you still have to present your resume. That's always still the first point of entry, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. But when students are trying to figure out what to do and how to interview, we can do a mock interview with them. We have daily virtual drop-in hours that students don't need to make an appointment with us, and they can just show up the day of and have a quick conversation with us. And then we have a myriad of workshops. You saw the fall calendar, all the company sessions that we have. And we love talking to students, especially when they're completely undecided or completely at an impasse. What do? I don't even know where to start. We love having those kinds of conversations.
Yeah, I would say parents. So please, if your student really doesn't know how to move forward and thinks they need to know what to talk to us about, they don't. Oh, I'm really excited to talk about our Owl Edge externship program. So this is specifically it's geared towards freshmen and sophomores, and it's really meant to allow them to explore job functions, industries, or organizations. So we connect students with alumni, parents, and friends of Rice for a job shadowing opportunity. We're going to be hosting it virtually this year, and we typically have about 300 students participate. We have opportunities for students across all schools. Students from all majors are welcome to participate. We have opportunities posted in HANDSHAKE right now, and students for the winter break session need to get their applications in by November 2nd. Parents, and alums, we're always interested in offering new opportunities for our students. It's a really low stakes but high impact way for you to have a really positive impact on a Rice student. So we're happy to talk more about that as well. Nicole, do you want to introduce the PCAs?
Sure. In each residential college, we have a team of peer career advisors. These are students who go through a rigorous training program to be our ambassadors in the colleges, helping with resumes and basic job search questions. Many job and internship application deadlines are at 11:59 p.m. So students are able to get their last minute questions answered in the colleges before hitting the submit button. And I'm going to put in a plug here for our PCA program, because these PCAs are not only helping their fellow students, they're getting coaching from us. So they're taking the skills that we're teaching them so they can teach students. Our PCAs meet with us twice a month. And in those sessions, they are always getting some kind of learning from us so that they can take that back in the college. So really, if you're a PCA, shameless plug here, but I always say this is one of the best places for a student to connect and also learn and also give back. So shameless plug, but we've had PCAs in our system for 25 years.
So number 5 is follow us. We are very active on social media. So whatever your favorite platform is, we probably have a presence there. This is an example of one of our social media posts from, I guess, the end of last week about the externship program. You know, when we have events or giveaways, we'll ask a student to follow us before they can take the item away. So we'd love to have you follow us as well. We've got thousands of followers across all of our platforms.
And Anne, I think you mentioned it or not, but we do send out a weekly newsletter. Did you mention that?
I didn't mention the newsletter. We do send out a newsletter every Sunday to students that gives them whatever the hot career topic of the week is. This weekend's newsletter will feature the externship program and a list of featured job opportunities and internship opportunities, as well as the employer information sessions and the career workshops that'll be happening in the upcoming week. So Nicole and I have talked a lot, and we are really interested in hearing your questions. We wanted to leave plenty of time for that today as well. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And if you'd like to unmute yourself to ask a question, that would be great. Or you can go ahead and put it in the chat.
While you all are thinking, and you might be saying, okay, what's the traffic like been in the CCD in this fall? The traffic has been busy, I'm happy to say. We are still seeing a lot of students in one-on-one appointments. Fall tends to be our busiest time because also fall tends to be a time where some of the known industries will be recruiting. Typically, it can be sometimes a two-week wait to get in to talk to one of our career counselors. So we always tell students, if you know you need to talk to us, and you should talk to us, schedule the appointment. Students don't have to pick up the phone. They just do all that scheduling online through HANDSHAKE. So it's very, very convenient. They pick the day and time that they want to come in, and then they will see the counselor availability. So we do make it very easy for the students to connect. So really, what am I saying? No excuses. Anything on the parent minds? I hope you've all have been having a good and informative week put on by our great alumni office. Alexa Schwartz is here. Hi, Alexa. They've done an amazing job, I got to tell you. Thank you, Alexa.
Thank you all so much. It's been so nice to have all of campus involved. So we're really excited with how it's been going.
Well, we partner with Alumni Office. In the good old days, we're in Huff House right here behind us. And this cute little pictorial, we love that. And then Alexa's office is upstairs, Huff House. So we miss seeing our friends.
Absolutely. Nicole and Anne, oh, it looks like we got a question. When do most summer internships interview for computer science positions?
There are a lot that happen in the fall, especially for the big tech companies, but that is one of the industries where talent is in such high demand that people are going to be looking for that talent all year. That's also one of the areas where freshmen, there's a stronger possibility for freshmen to find an internship in that field as well.
That's a good question. Yes. You know, the key is, and I think you parents know this as well. Ideally, the key is for students to understand that getting an internship and getting a job is a process. And it doesn't happen overnight. Ideally, here's how we want the world to look like. We want to have that perfect resume, and they will have that perfect resume if they come see us. And ideally, like I said, here's how they want it. That they can apply online, that their resume is going to be so fantastic that the company is going to look at it and say, come in and interview, or interview with us virtually. They have that one, maybe a second round of interviews, and they get the job. And believe me, that happens. Doesn't happen all the time though. So what's the difference there? The difference is having time to prepare, looking at companies, researching what you're really interested, connecting with companies. We have a lot of companies who, I wanted to say, come on campus, I'm still going to say that, who just connect with us, and they're connecting with us because they want to hire the right student. I'll tell you, one silver lining with COVID has been that because companies now are doing everything remotely, companies are doing these virtual information sessions, but opening it up to many, many campuses. So in many ways, actually, our Rice students are getting opportunities to connect with companies that maybe in the past would not have come on campus for, as you all know, a variety of reasons, right? Time, money, resources, people. Now, the current situation has facilitated a lot more connections.
Nicole, we have a great question about social sciences. So we have a parent whose daughter is in social sciences. Who should she meet to explore majors and career options?
Fantastic question. Anybody in our office, and they can even meet with me. I mean, I do meet a lot with students. All of our career counselors and advisors are completely capable of talking to every student at every level, in every major. So what I'm saying is we're all generalists. You saw how big our staff is. We have a team of 11 and we serve about 7,000 students. So scaling our services is always a key priority for us. But in terms of one-on-one appointments, they can meet with anybody in our office. And I have to tout my our career counselors and advisors are so dedicated to the Rice student. I mean, I am surrounded by a phenomenal team of career counselors and advisors, and Anne herself and her team. I'm very lucky to have such a competent and dedicated team. And I don't say that lightly.
She doesn't. Okay, we have a question about freshmen. When and how should a freshman apply for an internship? And I think that's a really good question because the answer could be maybe they don't apply for an internship. Maybe they've already applied for an internship. Maybe they'll apply in the spring for an internship. It really depends on if the student is ready, what the student is searching for, and when the industry or area that the student is looking to pursue or explore, when their hiring timeline is. And if you look in our chat box, Yvette McDussey, who is one of our amazing career counselors, is in our session as well. She posted a resource on hiring timelines that we share with students, so that could be helpful, helpful for guidance as well.
And thanks, Anne. That's a great, really, your freshmen really should kind of come in and talk to us so that they can just start the process. And it is so true that if a student does engage with us kind of throughout their college years, they're just going to, first of all, feel like they understand the process better. And more importantly, feel confident that they have the skill sets needed to apply, to interview, to network. We're always talking about that word networking. It's scary for adults. So you know how scary it is for students. But that's still a very big component of getting a job, and networking with this phenomenal group of alumni that is managed with Alexa's office through Sally Portal as well is another way that we show students, here's how you can connect with alumni. And I always tell every student, connect with me on LinkedIn, because look how old I am. I've been doing this for a long time. I know a lot of people, and I'm always willing to also help those students make connections. Let's see.
Nicole, we have a question about what help is available for video production. Many interviews are asking for video personal statements with resumes as a first cut.
Okay, so I'm assuming you mean, Charles, that your student has to submit a video clip of themselves in addition to the resume. I hope I'm reading that correctly. I'm understanding that correctly. Great question. We do that as well. And we also have a great resource called Optimal Resume. It's embedded in our resources behind the sign-on, but students can practice and videotape themselves They can do a mock interview with us. They can prepare the video introduction, and we will help them. We can critique it for them. I say that in the right kind of way, but we will help them with that pitch. What is your pitch? As we tell students, you know, when you're going and talking to a company at a career expo, we don't need to hear everything. A company just wants to hear in 30 seconds, who are you, what are you studying, and why you're interested in my company, right? So getting a really concise, articulate message out there is something that we can also help them with. I hope I answered your question.
I'm going to take this next one, which is easy. Do students apply for externships via HANDSHAKE? Yes, they do. They can search for the opportunities in HANDSHAKE under the keywords OWL Edge, and that will also be in our newsletter this weekend if they need a nudge to do so.
Great, yes. And here's the process too for externships. Students will apply for the externship, and we just say, submit your resume. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not looking for perfection here. Just submit your resume so we can see your background, and then give us a paragraph of interest. Why are you interested in this externship? And so then the whole CCD staff will look at those essays, if you will, those paragraphs, and then we will rank the students based on what we're hearing and based on the fact of maybe this is their top externship choice. Maybe they have never been exposed to a company before. So we will rank them so that they have a better chance of getting their externship of choice. And then we run it through an algorithm, and then everybody gets selected. And a lot of our extern hosts will take more than one extern. So we always also tell students, feel free to apply to more than one externship, because now in the virtual world, they used to be done obviously in person. Actually, another silver lining is that travel is not an impairment anymore. So students can really do these externships. They're going to do them virtually, so you can do it from wherever you are. So that the location is not a negative factor anymore. We're always trying to find silver linings in COVID.
Nicole, how important do you think internships are for sophomores and juniors when finding employment after graduation?
Great question. I think an internship is a great idea to do and get if you can. Okay. And there are lots of different internships out there. Unfortunately, there are also unpaid internships. It's unbelievable to think that there still are industries out there that don't pay. That experience can still be very valuable, however. And when you think of industries that offer a lot of summer internships that don't pay, a lot of times it's it's marketing, it's nonprofits, it's the arts, advertising, that kind of thing. And they can, unfortunately, I guess they can get away with it. I'm going to answer this question, but I also want to mention the fact that we do have a summer experience fund. And thanks to our generous donors, parents and alumni have donated to this fund. So every year we get a pot of money that we can allocate to students who secure an unpaid or underpaid internship, if you will. And the student will write a case for the fact of why this is going to be important in their career. And then based on the rankings and the evaluation of the application, we will determine if that student can get some kind of funding. The funding is anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 in a generous situation. I'll tell you what's important for students to do. Getting back to the question, freshmen and sophomores. Ideally, a student should be doing something during the summer. And if it's taking a summer class, that qualifies, okay? That they're continuing to do something. If they're working at the community pool, that qualifies. You work at Chick-fil-A, that qualifies. If they're able, though, to get an internship kind of in their area of choice, that's fantastic. companies are not saying, oh, you didn't get an internship your freshman and your sophomore year, that's going to disqualify you. Of course, it will always help to have something that is related to your career interest or your major. As well as internships, students also can do a lot of summer research projects as well. And we have a very robust on-campus opportunities for students to do summer research opportunities. The point is that students should do something during the summer. Maybe it's also taking another course. Maybe it's getting another certificate. Maybe it's honing some kind of skill set. It's always advantageous to have that. And we will work with students as much as possible. And there are companies who come to our Career Expo who are very open to talking to and hiring freshmen and sophomores.
Mhm.
It's not every company, right, Anne? But so that process becomes, you got to plan ahead.
You know, another great opportunity for students over the summer is to study abroad or look for an abroad program. Some majors make it really difficult because of the number of course hours to have those global experiences during the semester. So that's another, as students are studying abroad, they're developing their global fluency, which goes back to one of those 8 career competencies that Nicole mentioned earlier. So we have a question here about a secure warehouse for students to log experiences as they go so they don't forget. And HANDSHAKE that Nicole mentioned is really a fantastic platform for doing that. So each student has a HANDSHAKE account, and part of their account is their profile. And their profile would be the place where students would log their experiences. We really encourage students to fill out their profiles as completely as possible because HANDSHAKE works like Netflix for jobs. The more information you put in your profile, the better HANDSHAKE is at suggesting events and opportunities and employers. And then for employers, they will often search for students by those keywords. So students are more likely to be contacted by an employer if they have a complete profile.
Yes, great question. And by the way, parents, your students are, as Anne said, your students are already in HANDSHAKE. They already have a profile. We download all that stuff from the registrar's office, but it's very incomplete. And the more complete their profile is, again, as Anne said, the more that they will have jobs and opportunities that will come their way and say, oh, I see you're proficient in this. Consider applying for this company or for this position. So HANDSHAKE is really a very, very robust platform. We really do like working with it.
Mhm.
And thanks, Yvette, for putting in the resources for optimal resume and also learning more about externships. Thank you.
So will students be able to stay on campus during the summer programs? And I would say in a typical summer, students are able to find housing on campus or sublet an apartment nearby campus. I think that we just don't know at this point what the plans are for the campus for next summer.
Is there anything that we haven't mentioned? Trying to think, or any other questions that you parents have?
Is summer course going to be online? And I would say, again, that's something that we don't know yet. We just are just getting guidance for the spring semester. So I don't think we'll know about the summer for another few months.
Right. I hope all your students have been safe and getting what they need from Rice. Regular case, not.
There are a few Rice online courses, but the majority of Rice classes have always been in person up until the past 7 months. For students on campus now, are there any in-person events this fall, spring? So for our office, the Center for Career Development, all of our events are virtual because we want to make sure that everything we're offering is available to students no matter where they're learning, whether in person or someplace else.
That said, though, we did have a fall, kind of our fall signature event, our open house. It was a much more modified, but we had that in person and we handed out boba tea. Next Tuesday, we're going to be handing out succulents for our students just to kind of market our externship. So they'll be able to come to Huff House, first come, first serve, wearing masks, of course, socially distanced, and get a cute little succulent. I have got a really great marketing team here, and they're so creative with how we connect with students and how we coax them to read our newsletters and stay in contact with us. And I think, Ann, our past newsletters on our website that parents can access, I can't remember.
There are some past ones on our website, not all of them though.
Okay. So you can go to the website and kind of get a flavor for what we send out every week. Every Sunday, your student gets our newsletter.
I'm going to put the link for our website in the chat here.
Okay, let's see. Okay, oh, I love this question. Okay, for the students who are interested in business, what are the common majors that they can take? Oh my gosh. Okay, you're going to be surprised by this answer. Any major. As I mentioned, and I mean that. I mean, because if they're interested in, for example, let me just give you investment banking. The investment banking, which is a very strong industry here, and all the major investment banks recruit at Rice. So think about them: Goldman, Deutsche, Credit Suisse, Tudor Pickering, Citi. They all recruit at Rice. They do not care what your major is, and I say that 100%. We've had history majors, engineers, music majors go into that. Obviously, you have to be able to talk a little bit of business, but, and as you parents probably know, we don't have a business major. We only have a business minor. So the student is what they're selling themselves. So as a parent, Ann's a parent, she's got kids, I have kids. I'm a firm believer of, yes, get some practical experience. I mean, some business classes are really good to have, but study what you really are interested in. And I am a firm believer of that, especially at a university like Rice University, where all these students who graduate can really, really go on and do whatever they want to do. Obviously, you can't do chemical engineering if you're an English major, right? But we have sociology majors who have taken some computer classes and they end up going into technology and coding, just because then you don't need a major to do that.
I'm going to add another, sorry, what was
Go
that?
ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to add another website to the chat. It's called studentachievement.rice.edu. And on that website, you can filter by major and see the employers and graduate students that students in different majors pursue.
That's a really phenomenal website. I mean, at least good information, because like Ann said, you can see where they've gone, what companies, and what their major was. So major is really, maybe unlike some other universities, it's really not as important. Now, what does that mean? That means if, for example, if you're an English major and you're interested in getting into banking, Well, you've got to be able to, when you're talking to a bank, to show them, why are you interested in a bank? What are the skill sets that you have? And what are they looking for? Problem solving, strong analytical skills, maybe research skills. Your students are getting these skills in the classroom too, by the way. So when a student says, oh, I don't have any real work experience. Well, did you work on a project? What are the classes that you've taken? Look at all the relevant skills that you're getting in your classroom, whether it's research, whether it's writing, whether it's communication. Go back to those NACE competencies that I showed to you about what companies are looking for: teamwork, collaboration, problem solving, communication skills, analytical. That is what these companies are looking for. And we want to help each student set themselves apart so that they can be a really competitive candidate in that environment. And of course, I just want to say one caveat. We're talking a lot about jobs and internships. We obviously, I did mention it, but I do want to say that we work with students too if they're interested in going to grad school. And we can look at their statement of interest and their paragraphs of interest. We do a lot of that stuff as well in editing and giving them comments on their application. We can do that as well as other offices across campus, but we're available for that.
And really helping students think through why they're considering graduate school, how it's going to help them to pursue the career path that they're interested in, if they should take a gap, like considering if they should take a gap year or do something before they commit to graduate school. Because I think that it's really helpful for students to have someone to talk through that entire process with. We have a question here, Nicole, about when the ideal time for a student to begin looking for a job prior to graduation.
Okay, that's a great question. When now? Last semester. So they really should be connecting with us now, because as I said earlier, it's a process, right? And companies are hiring at different times, and the timelines can be very different depending upon the industry. We're still getting lots of jobs in. On an average day, we get anywhere from 100 to 200 new postings a day. Wouldn't you say that's pretty accurate, Anne?
I would, yes.
But ideally, that your student should be coming to us, making a one-on-one appointment with one of our fantastic career counselors like Yvette McDessie, who's on this call, and talk to them about what are they interested in. And let's talk basics. What's your resume look like? Do you have a cover letter? How much interview practice have you had? What companies are you looking at? What kinds of roles are you looking at? How are you applying to jobs? Are you just hitting the submit button on Indeed or whatever? That typically is not exactly an effective strategy. So we want to help a student really kind of pinpoint what they're really looking for and helping them to get there. And the big part that goes along with it, like I said, is just the confidence piece. That's why it's in our mission statement. We want to educate, connect, and empower the students to give them the confidence and the skill set. Ideally, we're giving your student lifelong career skill sets so that they can take what they've learned throughout their process at Rice and take it into their next career, wherever they're going to go. And by the way, also we do talk to alums. So if you're an alum and you're interested in connecting with our office, by all means, we love to connect with you as well.
Well, we're getting close to the end of our hour here now. So I think we have time for a couple of more questions that we'd be happy to take. Okay, let's see. Where do employment look like geographically for CS graduates? Are they mostly in the West, East Coast? Actually, Austin is a very hotbed for our CS grads. There are a number of the larger tech firms that have offices there.
But Houston too, right?
Yes, Houston, certainly there's opportunities, of course, in the Bay Area, throughout California, Seattle, on the East Coast, but a lot in Texas as well. Is the employment link that we posted for students in 2019 or what time period? So I believe it has 5 years of information on that site.
Yes, and you can sort by year.
Actually, it goes all the way back to 2013. And there is a comparable link for
Engineering students and okay, maybe this question is where do engineers end up? All over the place. If that's your question, civil, environmental, anywhere. It's just a question of helping that student identify. And as we tout Handshake, of course, because that's our platform, but that's only one, right? There's so many jobs posted also in Indeed, in LinkedIn. And by the way, the first Tuesday of every month, I teach a LinkedIn workshop for students. And I tell students starting freshman year, you really should start having a robust LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is only becoming more and more sophisticated in terms of helping students, employers, recruiters, people connect with jobs. And so we also teach students on how to really have a great, effective LinkedIn profile. And I always tell everybody, and also parents, feel free to link in with me in LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn profile, give me how you know me and mention that, you know, we met on this call. But I'm always, and I love connecting with parents and alumni and students, of course. I'm highly connected with a lot of students in LinkedIn.
Well, I think that's all of our questions, Nicole. So I want to really thank Alexa and the Alumni Relations team for giving us this opportunity to chat with you all today. Thank you so much for your engagement and your really great questions. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the OWL Together week, and we look forward to connecting with you and your students. And for the alumni out there, we'd love to chat with you about hosting an externship.
Thank you, parents. Thanks, Alexa. Thanks, Yvette, for posting all those things in here for everybody. Everybody have a fantastic, fantastic weekend. And hopefully you're able to connect with your own student. We wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
We'll stay on for a minute or two if anyone wants to ask us a question privately.